Robert Earl Dean, good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning, my brother, my partner in the gospel music crime.
Yes, man. I gotta add you to the spot. There you go. Everybody like saying, "Where Robert Earl at? Where Robert Earl at?"
He's on sabbatical. He's resting. He deserves a break.
Yes, you do. So can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
I'm really gigging off that shirt. I guess black was the color for us today. Black and little white.
It looked like it's for all of us. We
Yeah.
we, we the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. It looked like.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, man, I'm just gonna open up the screen wide so they can see you, and matter of fact, I'm just gonna zoom in, so that they can see the other half of cornflakes and milk. What's happening? What you want to be today? You want to be milk or cornflakes?
I'm gonna be whatever you want me to be, my brother. We are a powerful team doing great works for the Lord on the radio, and we just want to keep it moving.
Well, Robert Earl Dean, we got a great interview with us today. I really want you to introduce him because he's sitting back. It looked like he in his living room about this relaxing in Jesus. Who do we got with us today, man?
We have this new up-and-coming artist that's doing wonderful work for the ministry and the kingdom. We are so honored to have him on the Wake Up Morning Show with Dr. LT and Robert Earl Dean. Everybody, welcome Bobby Newt. Good morning, bro. What's up?
Hey.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can see you too with that bright smile, bro. We need that smile.
Oh, okay. Brother Bobby, I'm gonna start off early. He one of them pretty boy singers.
High yellow.
Yeah, he got dimples and good. It look like he got good hair too.
Right. So he might be a little mulatto.
Let me.
So, man, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Where do we start?
At the beginning.
Okay, I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from San Francisco. Honest Point, Fillmore, stand up. Those that's where I'm from.
Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on. Cause see, I sir, what'd you say, Robert? He's
a Cali boy like us.
Yes, but I want to say that I sojourned for about 6 years in the Bay Area. So I was over at Berkeley. So let me ask, I got some questions.
That's not Berkeley. That's not San Francisco.
Oh no, I understand that, but see, I sojourned and I went over to San Francisco, but there was something that Berkeley and San Francisco had in common. I want to know if it's still there or not, and that is Blondie's Pizza.
Oh, it's so amazing, man.
Okay.
The pepperoni pizza at Blondie's is second to none.
Yes. See,
that's the place I try to stop into when I go back because I live in LA now.
Okay.
But so from San Francisco, started performing on Fisherman's Wharf when I was a very, very young boy at about 9 years old. I cut my first record at about 9 years old. It was actually Stone in Love with You and Why Do Fools Fall in Love. That's how far I go back. It was remember the 12-inch?
Yep.
With an A side and a B side?
Yep.
Yes.
And my dad had aspirations of us being, like the Jackson 5. I was in a what they call them boy bands now, but I was in a kid group called the Neutrons. It was me, my brother who now goes by Jake Valentine, and my twin brother who passed away, Ronnie Newt Jr., rest his soul. So that was the beginning of it. We started out, they called it strutting or popping. So we would dance and we would make money, and then I started singing, and so we won all the talent shows there. So we started our journey, LA to the Bay to LA to try to make it. Mm-hmm. And so that was back in the days when Joe Jackson had an office on Sunset in Motown building.
Yeah.
And so we would go there, man, and we would sit in his office, and finally my dad had went to get us some chicken across the street at Pioneers or something.
Not Pioneers.
Pioneers Chicken.
Wow.
Yes. And the door popped open, and I just jumped up and ran in there. Uh-huh. At this time, I'm about 11 years old, and I ran in there, and he looked up, and this is Joe Jackson, and he said, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, we've been sitting out here for months. Like we trying to make it." I said, "I can sing and I can dance like your son Michael." And he said, "Oh, you can." And so I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Somebody come in here and put on some music for this boy." And they put on the music, man. And I went to dancing and singing. And he was like, "Oh, yeah." So Then we were signed to Joe Jackson for a little bit. We actually did a big show at the Roxy. We practiced for 3 months straight for about 12 hours a day. I've never practiced like that in my life, still to the day. And we sang, you know, like all the songs that were out then was The Greatest Love of All. That's What Friends Are For. We obviously sung I'll Be There by the Jacksons with a full band. I was 11. I think my brother was 6. My other brother was 11. We got a few standing ovations, and Michael Jackson actually videoed the whole thing.
Wow.
We didn't know he was up there. They actually introduced him as El DeBarge. They said El DeBarge was up top because they couldn't say Michael Jackson was up top.
Wow.
So after that, we spent a little time with Mike. It was fantastic. Moving forward, at around 15, I got my first record deal at MCA Records. We dropped our single, My Heart Beats For You. It did pretty good, probably 24, 25 on the charts. We did a full, the full promo tour, 26 cities. It was insane. We did the Say No to Drugs, some of that tour stuff. Back then, that's what was going on, Say No to Drugs. And then my dad, the whole time, by the way, my dad is a notorious, he was a notorious gangster pimp, and from San Francisco. And he was on the run the whole time he got us the record deal.
Wow.
And so during the time we doing the record deal, he goes back to jail. Just want to speed it up for you because it is long. He goes back to jail. So we have a record deal, but we're not making any money. The song was mildly successful. They didn't drop the second single because my dad fell out with him, and then he went to jail. They called the police on him. And then my brother hooked up with some gang members and actually robbed a Korean store in San Bernardino and got himself killed.
Wow.
And so that is where my testimony begins, because as a 16-year-old, we get the phone call, we're looking for him. My mom sees him in the morgue. That was obviously super duper traumatic. I had never heard any kind of scream the way my mom screamed when she saw the picture of him in the morgue. But also, I don't know if you remember the show Hard Copy.
Yeah.
I saw the actual footage of them robbing the store and my brother being killed on TV.
Wow.
So that was probably one of the most traumatic things that, obviously I'm a twin. If you're a twin, you don't know what it is. If you're not a twin, you don't know what it is to come to this world with somebody, and you know what I'm saying? And then that person pass away. And so, I always say this, as Black people, we don't really get therapy. You know what I mean? We're not like, oh, I need to go see a shrink or a therapist, or I need help with that. You know what I mean? We just kind of cope. We just kind of survive. And my coping mechanism was women. That's all I knew at that time. I was already 15, 16 years old. And like I said, I told you the DNA, what my dad was. I told you what I came up in. So that's what I went to. And so women was my drug. That was my thing. That was my way of coping. So by the time I'm 23, I got 5 kids with 4 different women.
Wow.
I'm just completely tearing up my life. I've moved back to the Bay Area. We're back in the projects. So there was also the trauma of, kind of reaching some success or what you thought you wanted to be, and then just being slammed right back into poverty.
Wow.
And so what I now know is that through all these things, God is preparing me for what is going to be, my testimony, but also this what it is now, which is the testimony is now has become, I've overcome these things. You know what I mean? So it's more to it. We get a record deal. At some point I'm signed to Suge Knight and Death Row. I mean, it goes on and goes on. I've had some success in music. I've written songs for Chris Brown. I've been nominated for 3 Grammys. That stuff is what it is. But the main thing is the overcoming part. I'm still chasing. So let's jump to when I'm around 28 now. So now I'm 28. I've moved back to LA. I'm chasing music. I'm a songwriter. And we signed with Suge Knight, and that was obviously wild. Hanging out with him and the gangsters and all of that stuff, because I'm still thinking I want to be this big R&B star. So I'm like, I'm willing to do what it takes. You know what I'm saying? And so around 29, I'm dating about 5 different girls. I've got, you know, a really nice car. I've got jewelry. According to the world, I'm doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But the anxiety, when I say the anxiety, I mean, like, I cannot sleep at night. Like, it's ridiculous at this point. I'm to my tipping point. I'm to my end. I've gone as far as I can go. And one of my friends is like, yo, you need to, because now, you know, I'm going to the clubs, there's the women, there's, you know, all this stuff. And I'm like, my boy's like, yo, man, he's a producer, but he's like, I call him my most spiritual friend. We're still really, like, he's one of my best friends to this day. Shout out to Brick Stearns. And he's like, yo, you got to try something else, man. And I'm like, what else? And he's like, you got to try coming to church. And I'm like, what? Church? What am I going to church for? So he's trying to get me to go to church. We're writing songs, trying to get me to go to church. Finally, I said, okay, I'll go to church. Because what I realized is the only thing that can help me at night when I can't sleep, when I can't shut it off, is to pray.
Wow.
And so I would pray and I would be able to go to sleep. That would give me some peace at that point, right? So I go to church. I'm now 28, 29. I'm dating this one girl. And I take her to church with me. And I walk into the church and I realize at the moment that I walk into this church that I'm home. I realize I'm where I'm supposed to be. So I start for my first time singing praise and worship at the church. This was strict Wednesday Bible study. Again, I didn't come up in church. I came up in the streets. So I didn't know anything about, you know, Wednesday night Bible study. I didn't know about, you know, surrendering to Christ. I didn't know all you had to give because he gave us everything. I didn't know none of that stuff, right? So, but this church was an accountability church. It was a small church. It was called God's Grace Covenant Church in Chatsworth. And this pastor would get at you. I mean, right in there. You'd be sitting down and he'd be like, you know, he'd be talking. And, you know, I had a tendency sometimes to doze off. He'd be like, Bobby, wake up. Right? So it was like that. And he, you know, he spoke into our lives and he knew what we were doing after church. And I mean, it was very interactive, right? And so we're serving in the church and he looks at me and my girlfriend at the time and she's singing worship too. And he's like, listen, y'all can't be shacking up and be singing praise and worship in my church. Wow. Y'all gonna have to make a decision, right? And so we started the counseling for marriage. And so long story short, I was faithful to her for a year and I had never been faithful to a woman in my life. That's how I knew I was able to get married. Right. So still, let's still keep it into perspective. I still got 4 baby mamas and 5 kids. Her mother, she's 20 at the time. I think I'm 28. And her parents are like, oh, no way. She's a good Midwest girl, raised in the Midwest, a good family, not ghetto like mine. And so her parents were like, no. And my mom was like, no, because my mom was an old school woman and was like, you know, the woman has to be able to take care of the man. She's too young. She ain't going to be able to do it. So we eloped in Vegas after I was faithful for a year. I was 30 years old. I've been faithful ever since. That was 16 years ago. Well, wow. 17 years ago, I should say. So wow. The glory is in that for something that I never thought I could be as far as especially like be faithful to a woman, be in a successful marriage. I've only been able to do this with Christ. And I only say this because I haven't stopped being in the music business. It's not like I stopped going outside. Women are still beautiful. It's just the choices that we make. It's beating up our flesh every day to be better. So when I hear it, you know what I mean, and I get it, you know what I mean, like when married guys are like, oh, we all fall and we fall short. I don't really buy that because it's a choice you make. We make choices. We all have to make choices. And if you're married to a woman, you have made a choice to be with that woman through good, through bad, through sickness, through health. So you can't say, I wasn't feeling her today, so I went and got with another woman. That's my stand.
So let me. I'm gonna jump in on this one because okay. I got questions. You got a whole amen section going on. Somebody said, oh, he need to write a book. Everybody, I got a lot of wows. Some people say 4 babies, mama. So let me ask you a question. So how many children do you have now?
I have 8.
Okay, so you have 8 children. Of your 8 children, how many of them do you have relationships with?
All of them.
Okay, so let's talk about this because that's very key. How do
Very
you manage the different mothers as well as making sure you're in your children's life?
Some of it has been absolute hell.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I have two sons with. I had a full custody battle all the way up until they were 18. I got custody of two of my sons at 11 and 12. They are now 25 and 23. One of them is about to graduate with a double master's. The other one just got a really good job up in San Francisco. That one's been a journey. I have okay. So this is about to go. So I have two sets of what is called ghetto twins. Do you guys know what that is?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's for people who don't know. That's when you have kids by two different women in the same year.
right.
And so I've had to manage that as well.
See, that's the thing. Okay, I want y'all to get this, that he didn't grow up in the church, so he's
No.
teaching you now. He said
Right.
ghetto twins, that is two babies by two different women in the same year.
Same
Okay,
year.
so everybody like, ooh, ghetto twins. Everybody, I can see everybody using that right now. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So of course, as a more mature man and as a Christian man now, right, you realize like I said, God is always doing something. He's always teaching us. And so for me, it wasn't never that I just didn't know how to be a good man and commit to things, but I've always tried to be in my kids' lives.
Mm-hmm.
So even like I said, I got custody of the two. My other daughter lives out here in Los Angeles. So I would have them every summer, always made sure they were together. Of course, yes, I was still young and I was still chasing. So now I know what it's like because I'm married. I know what it's like to be there from A to Z with my three kids that I have with my wife. Mm-hmm. But my other kids who range from age 29 to 23, those are the older group. Everybody, I speak with them. We have a good relationship. Some of them, some of them are harder, Some of them hold a little resentment. You wasn't there as much. You have some favorites. I mean, you go through all of this.
Right.
It's called being in a marriage with a blended family is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's in it, they know it's tough. And I just have tried to, through the grace and mercy of Christ, is basically deal with it in the best way that I can.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Now I don't deal with conflict. Like I used to, the women would get mad. They were mad that I got married. I mean, it was a mess. Mm-hmm. But I have, like I said, when it went crazy and I take it to court, let's go to court. I'm going to see my kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I've done the best that I can, I'd say, in the situation that I created.
So let me ask you this question. Have the kids ever played Daddy, Do You Remember My Birthday?
No, because I remember all their birthdays.
Yeah. That's the one thing, when you're doing a blended family, I've seen this because I'm a counselor and an educator also.
Okay.
Earl's a educator also. So we
Wow.
see a lot of different families, and what you're experiencing or sharing, we see this quite often. I applaud you because you fought to be in your children's life, because there's nothing more important than to have your parents want to be in your life. So I want to applaud you for that. Earl, I know you have a question.
I just wanted to say that I really, really appreciate you allowing the generational curse to cease in your family, because it starts with the head of the home. And I'm sitting here listening, and when you made a commitment to God, it was easier to make a commitment to your wife.
Thanks.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Okay, you talked about your dad, but was your mom in the picture?
So my mom is I would say my mom is the matriarch of our family, obviously, and she was the glue and she was the good part. It's funny because our family is so hood that they can't believe how Lynn's kids, that's my mom, they can't believe how Lynn's kids made it through, because my dad was an absolute narcissistic gangster pimp. And so his family and her family can't, me and my brothers and sisters outside of my twin, everybody works, everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody is doing really well. Mm-hmm. And we're the ones that's supposed to be really messed up.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I mean? Because my parents went to jail. We went through foster care a little bit. They was on drugs. I mean, it was wild. It's a movie, man. Seriously. And Robert said it perfectly. And that's when I do write my book, that's what it will be. It will be about breaking the generational curse, because I have done it. And now me and my wife are raising phenomenal kids. Like it is such a blessing. I'm so blessed in that area. Like I can't even, like, it makes me almost emotional, because to come from where I came from,
Yeah.
and be able to pour into my kids
Mm-hmm.
the way that I can and structure my life and make it all about them
Mm-hmm.
is I don't even know how it's possible
So
It's a
without
let me
without God.
let me say this for all the TV producers and movie writers and screenwriters that are listening today. Who do they contact if they want to start working on your film? Who do they contact?
Bobby Newt.
Okay, call you directly because you know you got the writers and everybody like saying, "Oh, that's a movie." You know how I get at them. So we want to make sure that we do that. One of the things that I love when we interview people, as you can see, this is not no timed interview where we're gonna just like say, "Okay, you got 15 minutes and we're gonna be gone." We actually want people to get to know who you are. You have just opened up a porthole for young people as well as seasoned people that have gone through like and similar lifestyle and have made a change, and you're now being the, for lack of better words, a poster dad of how you can come out and it be all right. In your testimony of your children, your offsprings are saying that yes, there is still a connection. So we kind of got a little background on you. Let's talk about the music.
The music. So the music now is, I'd say, if that's a good word, it's a byproduct of the testimony.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only still doing music because the whole, I mean, let's go back to it. I wanted to be Michael Jackson. I wanted to be the biggest thing in the world. I wanted to be, you know, I mean, there's so many things. I'm full Leo. I'm full Robert. I'm full, you know what I'm saying? I'm full all these things. And that's what I wanted to be. That was my, you know, that was my dream. And every time I got really close, God would be like, "No, I don't have that for you because you can't deal with that."
Mm-hmm.
But see, this is the thing.
You couldn't handle it.
You have to be able to. It hurts, right? I had a reality show we were gonna do with Mona Scott. I had, again, I tell you, I got nominated for these Grammys. I'm walking around with my shades on in LA, you know, with 10,000 in my pocket, and every time God is like, "Hey man, look at you. This is why I can't do this for you.
You can't handle it.
Huh?
You couldn't handle it.
Yeah, he's like, I'll lose you forever, man. If I give you that, I'll lose you forever. But what I know now, Robert, is that he has preserved me and saved me for a moment such as this.
Come on, man.
I just want to go on the radio stations because it reaches the most people and tell them what God has done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not rich, but I'm rich. Let me tell you, I'm rich where it counts.
Yeah.
I'm rich in family. I'm rich in love. I'm rich in peace.
Yes.
I'm rich in balance. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of it all. And so that's what my music is about, man. Like I really just like this particular song that you guys have, Where Would I Be? It's all of them touch on my testimony. I'm giving the real, I'm giving the raw. I'm talking about how my mom died at 49. So let's talk about that. Like that,
Wow.
that right there. So almost every 15 years, what we've kind of seen in our family is that my twin died when I was around 15 or 16. My mom died when I was 30, and now my father died when I'm 45. So
Wow.
But my mom, right? I got married 2 weeks before my mom died. Remember I told you we went to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I never seen her again. I'm leaving Vegas. I'm looking at my ring that goes in this circle like it's infinite, right? And I'm just knowing right then that I have changed. Like he said, I had broken the generational curse because kind of what I'd always known was that I respect marriage, right? And I knew like, okay, if I get married, like once I get married, I'm shutting it down.
Right.
And that's what I did. I respect marriage but here's the key I want all men to know. You cannot do marriage without God. You cannot. In the flesh, we won't make it. We too selfish. We too, you know what I'm saying? The flesh is too weak. Like we can't. Like I said, women are never gonna stop being beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like we our flesh every single day, we're in a war. We're in a war every day with our flesh. Which one is gonna win? Spirit or flesh? Which one is gonna win? Right? And so this also is what my music is about. I feel like my brand of gospel, I mean, they call it life music. There's street gospel. To me, this is like street gospel, life gospel. These things mix together because that's what I am. I didn't come up in the, you know, the saved and sanctified gospel. I didn't come up in that. I didn't come up in the Hawkins and the. I'm actually more from the commission era where it sounded like R&B. You know what I mean? So and now it has changed into So I have worship songs now. I mean, I love Maverick City. I love Hillsong. Molly Music is one of my favorite. Jonathan McReynolds. Obviously, Eric Dawkins is one of my best friends. Isaac Correa is one of my good friends. I just did Erica and them show the other day, Waking Up with Erica. That was awesome. Not as awesome as this though, because with that you feel like you're on a time constraint and you're trying to get it all out in a couple minutes. You know what I'm saying? This is amazing, like you said, because it's not time, so we can really get into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was saying, my bad. My mom passed, right? And so what I know now is that if I hadn't been married 2 weeks before that, again, I would have went toward my life and probably maybe ended it all, because I wouldn't have been able to deal with that. And God had already put it together. He put it together for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, my wife, basically, she took that place in my life that my mom had.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop you right there, because you've been dropping a lot of nuggets, but
man, some bombs.
But I need for you now, because you have a queen in your life right now that is your wife. I need you to shout her out, because there's got to be something super anointed about her, because she took this street dude, this dude that should not have been where he is, and she done turned him into a father, husband, man of God. And talk about her a little bit.
Okay, so this is Courtney Russell Newt.
Okay.
She's from the Midwest. The story is hilarious. Actually, I wrote a country song about it. It's called The Honeymoon. Like, basically saying that we've been through everything, hell and back, and we're still on the honeymoon.
All right.
And so this woman, basically, I don't know if I chose her or if God chose her for me. I met her, and I was like, yeah, she's beautiful, you know. But there was something special to her. There was something, I think it was in her spirit. Like, she just had a gentle spirit. And that's why, like I told you, there were other women. There were actresses. There were R&B singers. There were other people. And I chose her because there was something special. And what I say is, I'm honest. I'm a shallow guy when it comes to that. And I still look over at her right now to the day, and I'll be like, man, I'm lucky. She's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. But it's not just because she's beautiful on the outside. She's also beautiful on the inside. And she had the strength to stick with me through all of the bull crap. And trust me, there was some bull crap with these baby mamas trying to fight her. And I'm talking about, we had all the drama, all of court.
Ghetto.
Hey, $100,000 in child support. I mean, all of it. You know what I mean? I just paid that off. Probably about a year and a half ago. I can fly now. I can go everywhere. Right. I'm gonna get my passport, Robert.
Right.
man, this is exciting. We have to get you live in the studio and get you down here and do a couple of shows here in San Diego. There's so much more we would definitely love to talk to you about. So we got to do a part 2 to this. Robert, I know you have a couple of questions.
Well, who are some of your influential artists that you really admire in secular or gospel?
My favorite right now is Chandler Moore from Maverick City. When I tell you those songs that they do, I mean, they just do something to my spirit. Yeah. I used to be like, because of, you know, I'm a singer, right? So is Zacardi Cortez, all the singers. Kiki Sheard, I mean, the ones that go crazy, right? Those were all Eric Dawkins. Those were all my favorites. Fred Hammond, Commission. I mean, those guys were all my favorites. But now I've come to a place where these other songs with just lyric and melody, not all the runs and all that. It's like they summon the Holy Spirit, and they do something to my soul, man. This song Jireh that they have out right now, they do something to my soul, man.
Yeah. So, you know, and this interview was so important that Robert's actually on vacation, but he said, I'm tapping in for this interview.
Man, I appreciate that, Robert, man. I really appreciate y'all having me. I'm humble, for real. Like, I can't even tell you guys how excited I am to be on here with you guys and be able to tell my testimony, because I think it's just so important. If it just impacts, you know, one little kid like I was, that was like either in foster care or, you know what I'm saying, that's in a blended family and don't know his place, any of those things, or, you know, a baby mama who don't think, you know, the dad really wants to be a part. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all these things, or a guy that's struggling in his marriage, you know what I mean? Or a woman that's struggling in the marriage, or a single woman that doesn't believe that there are good men out there. There are, but he can't be good without God.
Amen.
And your story is more common than most people think. You just transparent and you're testifying. Everybody don't want to testify, but I'm telling you, man, you are going to bless a lot of people because you're different. And gospel music and the kingdom of God need people like you. You didn't grow up in a church. And I'm glad, because a lot of times you can grow up and think you don't need God because you've been in church all your life. You're from the street, so you've seen it all. And you can say, hey, I can't say it's nobody but God, because if it was up to me, I would be dead, crazy, or something of that nature. So you have a purpose, bro. If nobody ever told you, you have a purpose, and you got Robert's name too. So you're a good person.
That's right. Come on, talk to me, Robert. My name means something great, don't it?
It means name in bright lights. That's what Robert means.
Yes, it does.
So let me say this, Robert. Now that you guys, let me say this. We talked about family. We talked about the baby mamas. We talked about your queen, your wife. But you hit it and then you left it. But I want you just to give a shout out to your spiritual leader who helped you to begin the accountability pastor.
Well, come on, man. Come on. So let me tell you how amazing this guy is. He does a Bible study at his house, which is now kind of like church, right? Because this dude is so committed, right? I ain't never seen, I mean, y'all might know some super, super committed dudes, but this dude, he went back. So all the people that he brought to Christ, right? Then he went back to school, got his degree in theology and his master's in therapy. Wow. This dude, so, because I said, Brig, why? Because he was old. I'm like, dude, you old. What is you doing? Right? He's like, bro, I had to go back and I had to really explain to all the people that I brought to Christ, fully explain salvation. And so we go to this Bible study, man, and we worship in there, and then he breaks the word down, this interactive, and it ain't no foo-foo, man, and it ain't a business. Mm-hmm. Should I repeat that again? It's not a business.
Yeah.
Right. It's really about us walking together and really being accountable. And he gives us these books, about being humble and humility and surrender. And I mean, it just takes you deeper. And so this dude's name is Brig Stearns. He's a dude out of Fort Worth, Texas. We've been friends over 25 years now. And he came over yesterday. I got a little tennis court at my house. Not that I got this big mansion. I got a nice little townhouse with the pool and the tennis court. And he came over, and his son plays tennis, and my daughter does too. And we just, we do life together, man. We talk, because now he's a therapist too. So, but I need a therapist now. That's what I realized, right? Mm-hmm. As I'm going through all of this, and people keep dying around me. Mm-hmm. Because when my father died, I thought, oh, he was a gangster, man. So I'll be fine. But it honestly was like the straw that broke the camel's back, man. Like, mm-hmm. It was tough. It was really, really tough. And I kind of hold these things in. And I need to figure out how to release them. And I try to, it helps to speak about them in my music, or even when I'm doing an interview or telling my testimony. Right.
I want to.
But go ahead.
I want to say this to all the men out there. I really want you to share this interview. I really want you to take heed. We have a man of God here that's saying that it's all right to say that you need to talk, or you need to have some therapy. This young man has gone through a tremendous amount, and if for not the grace of God and therapy and ability to talk to a Christian therapist at that, it would have been a totally different story. But God had a purpose and a plan for his life, and that's God has a purpose and a plan for your life. We all have an assignment, and even though the talent was there, God had an assignment for this young man for this season. So Robert, Bobby, I have to call y'all the Roberts and the Bobbies. I would like for you to introduce your song. We're going to play it, and then Robert, we're going to get you back in since you're in LA. When you can travel, we're going to bring you to San Diego. We're going to bring you live in the studio, and I want to do I'm telling you now, I want to do a special with you. And I want to do it all. I want to invite the men, and if I want to do a special, and let's just have a real man-to-man radio show talking about man issues. Because I preached a message called "I once was a hoe and had hoaciousness in my life." Can all the hoes raise? And everybody left.
Oh, I got a lot of information on that, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell people that it is when we are transparent is when we can draw people to Christ. When we try to cover up and hide, because see, a lot of times in Christianity, we've been taught better to hide versus than to live safe. So
Right.
if we can start being more transparent, people could then push to be saved and not cover up.
Let me tell you what's so crazy. Oh, you go ahead, Robert.
No, you go.
No, I was gonna say, let me tell you what's so crazy about that. That's what I love actually about being in gospel. It's weird that you said that, is that I can be transparent and I can tell my story. If you're secular, they hide even more.
Yeah.
That whole thing is fake. Most of it's fake. They're trying to be like they're perfect and all this. That's what I love about that. You know, I mean, there's gonna be some people that judge me, but I don't care because they can't. God judges me. I don't worry about that.
Right.
But my point is that that's what I love about gospel, is that you get to say, it's not on me. I get to say, listen, I was this, and this what God did. This what he brought me through. Or this what I'm still struggling with. And I read my Bible about it and trying to get better.
Right.
Right? Because Jesus is the healer of all things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
So it's amazing you said that. And man, I'm humbled again. I would love to come sit down with you guys in person. Man, we're gonna have an amazing time in Christ, and hopefully break off so many chains, and that so many men can feel free. Like, man, you know what? I do struggle with that, man. And then me and you, all us guys, can speak on it and be like, hey, man, this is how you overcome that. These are the steps that you need to take. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to get married, you really want to be a good husband, these are the things that you have to do. You really want to be a good father, these are the things that you have to do. You know what I mean?
And this all goes back to childhood. And we Black people have to stop, get help. I was just talking about this same stuff yesterday. That's why I know God is in this interview, because we were talking about how we Black people or brown people don't go for therapy, and it all stems from childhood. So you're a wounded child going into teenage years, going into adult years, getting older with all this baggage and never dealt with it, and then you bring it on to somebody else, and that's why you have all these crazy people.
Well, they say everybody's starting to prophetically say conference. This is what we're gonna do, man. Let's play your song, and we're gonna be to be continued. Robert, make sure the Roberts, y'all can connect, and we'll get it on the calendar, okay?
Okay.
And
let me introduce my song.
Well, but let me,
Bobby Newt.
No, baby, hold on. One more thing.
Testimony in my song. Huh?
Well, one more thing. If you, I want to invite your family to Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway on the 28th. If you are able to come down to San Diego,
28th of August.
yeah.
Yes. Where is that at?
It's in San Diego. It's the aircraft carrier.
I'll send you the information.
Yeah, Robert's gonna get you the information.
Please do.
I want you guys to come down and be our guests.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Alrighty.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
All right, now you can introduce your song, brother.
This is Bobby Newt. Where would I be? This is my testimony. I hope it blesses somebody.
Here we go, right here on GOD Radio 1.com.
I think that was